When you're ready to transcribe your client's recordings, visit the ComptonPESLOnline.com website and click on Phonetic Transcription. You'll need a current subscription in order to use the feature. Then click on I'm ready to transcribe. Log in by clicking on the Auth0 button, and then choose the account that you currently have authorized with Compton PESL. On the next screen, you will create or retrieve your client's transcription. If the client submitted the background information portion of the assessment, their email address should appear in the drop-down. It will appear either under untranscribed or transcribed email addresses. If they did not submit the background information page, you may enter their email address in this box. Then select or enter their primary language and select a session type, time 1, modeled, or time 2, before submitting. Let's take a closer look at the transcription screen. You'll see the player with your client's recordings at the bottom. If you've chosen to download the recordings and listen to them on a different player, you can hide this player from view. Just click and drag this horizontal line. Above the player, you will see the 66 stimulus response words and the reading passage. When you click on a word, it opens to reveal each phonetically transcribed sound that is tested in that word. Each tested phoneme is elicited at the word and sentence level. The sound's position in that word or its phoneme classification is also indicated. For example, for the word horse, the initial consonant H was tested at the word level and the sentence level. The diphthong or was tested at the word level and the sentence level, and the final consonant was tested at the word level and the sentence level. Begin playing back your client's recordings, either on the player provided on this page or the player of your choice. There are two ways to enter your client's error sounds. When you selected your client's primary language on the login screen, the transcription screen was pre-populated with the most common errors that speakers of that primary language produce based on Dr. Compton's research. If you hear one of these language-specific error sounds, you may click on it to select. You should then see that selected error sound appear in the error sound box or boxes. If your client produced a sound that is not represented as one of the language-specific error choices, just click on the blank error sound box to access a drop-down box of IPA symbols and choose the one you want. The drop-down box will disappear and your selected IPA symbol should appear in that error sound box. If you change your mind, just click on the box again to obtain the IPA symbols and make your correction. You can also erase the error sound you chose by clicking on the space in the upper left corner of the drop-down box. As your client says each of the 66 words, they will also use them in carrier sentences. You may want to transcribe any spontaneous speech errors that occur in these sentences. To document these errors, click on any of the question mark symbols along the left margin. This will open up a stair-step menu of phoneme classifications: consonants, vowels, diphthongs, blends, and clusters. As you move your cursor over each classification, the menu opens further to display subcategories for that class. Moving your cursor over these subcategories narrows your search even more to allow you to select the target phoneme of your choice, as well as the word position of that phoneme. The last part of the menu displays the pop-up window where you will enter your client's error sound. At the top, you should see the target sound. Down here, you will see the error sound boxes. Your client may make more than one type of substitution error for a particular sound. Therefore, we have provided 3 rows for 3 different potential error sounds. When you click on the error sound box, you will bring up the IPA symbols. Just select the one you want. Some errors that your client makes will consist of more than one symbol. That's why there are 4 error sound boxes in each row. For example, if your client produced an unaspirated P, you would need to select the P symbol and the symbol that represents unaspirated. In some cases, you will need all 4 error sound boxes to display an error sound group, such as a 3-element S blend produced with a vowel inserted at the beginning, commonly heard in Spanish accented English. Next, you must enter a frequency to indicate that your client has made this error one time. If you leave this box blank, the program will not recognize this as an error. The long white rectangular box is for typing in the context of the error. Make sure you close this window before continuing with other transcription. If you hear a grammar error, just click on any of the exclamation marks along the right margin. This will open up a text box where you can type in the sentence containing the grammar error. You may also use this text box to make any pertinent notes. Let me talk you through some examples of how to use all of the components of the phonetic transcription screen when transcribing your client's errors. You'll see the player at the bottom of the screen. You can use this, or you can use the player of your choice on another part of your desktop. Select to highlight your client's first recording. This will be labeled Eval 1 through 30 and has the first 30 of the 66 stimulus response words. The recording labeled Eval 31 through 66 contains the remainder of the words and carrier sentences. Click to highlight the desired voice file, then click on play. You will need to pause the recorder as needed to give yourself time to transcribe errors. Remember, you can jump forward and backward during the playback to review productions as needed. Let's say your client mispronounced the diphthong in the stimulus response word horse. If you hear one of the language-specific errors, just click on it. Make sure you indicate whether it occurred at the sentence level as well. If you make a mistake in your choice or you heard a different sound than one of the language-specific errors, just click on the error sound box to obtain the IPA symbols and choose the one you want. You can completely clear the box by clicking on the blank space in the upper left corner. In this example, you hear your client omit the final consonant. Since that is not a typical error for this particular primary language, the omit symbol is not represented as a choice. You will need to click on the error box to obtain the drop-down menu of IPA symbols. You can then select the omit symbol. When you're finished, click on the next word to continue. You may also hear your client mispronounce another sound in the context of their carrier sentence. This would be considered a spontaneous speech error. For example, let's say your client's sentence for the word horse was, "the horse running." You hear a trilled R in the word running. Bring up the phoneme locator to find the target sound, in this case, R. Find the appropriate category, consonants, liquids, initial position. There's the target phoneme. Now go to the first row of error sound boxes and click on the first box to bring up the IPA symbols. Then select the appropriate error sound. Remember, if you make a mistake, you can always click on the box again to access the drop-down and make your correction. Or you can click on the space in the upper left corner to completely erase the error sound box. Then move to the small gray tally square. This is for counting the number of times your client makes this error for this target sound. Click once to indicate that this error has occurred one time at the spontaneous level. Each time you click on the box, the tally will increase by 1. In the error context box, type the context in which the error occurred. When you're done, make sure you close the window. In this example, you may also want to document the grammar error your client made in this carrier sentence. Remember, you do that by clicking on any of the exclamation marks, which will open up the grammar error text box. Here's another example. Let's say your client omits the final consonant in the word clown for both the word and sentence level. Click on the language-specific error, if appropriate, or on the box to obtain the desired IPA symbol. The sentence the client creates in which he used the word clown is, "The clown laughing." You hear an error in the final consonant in the word laughing. To transcribe this spontaneous speech error, just click on any of the question marks along the left margin. Use the menu to locate the target phoneme. In this case, you want consonants, nasals, NG, final position. Check to make sure the target phoneme is at the top. Then click on the first row of error sound boxes and select the error sound. Then click on the spontaneous count tally box one time. Don't forget to type the context and then close the window. Since the client also omitted the article in this carrier sentence, you might also like to document this in the grammar error box. Here's an example of when your client produces the same error again in a different carrier sentence. Let's say he makes no errors in his production of the word dog, but in his sentence, "My dog likes to run," he trills the R in the word run. Locate the target sound R again, consonants, liquids, R, initial position. Since the symbol representing the trilled R is already in place from a previous error, you need only increase the increment in the tally box. You do that by clicking on it. Each time you click on the box, the tally increases by 1. If you make a mistake, you can double-click and a drop-down box will appear that will allow you to select a tally number or completely clear the box by clicking on the word blank. Don't forget to also type in the context and then close the window. Now here's an example of when your client produces different error sounds for a target phoneme in a spontaneous context. In one of his sentences, "I give my wife ring," you hear a mispronunciation in the final consonant of the word ring, but it is not the same error as made earlier in the word laughing. There are 3 rows of error sound boxes which allow you to document 3 possible error sound choices. So in this case, you click on the second row of error sound boxes. Select the appropriate error sound. Click on the tally box and type in the context. Don't forget to make a note regarding grammar errors. As you are transcribing, it's a good idea to save your work frequently. To save your work, click on the Save Submit button at the top of the page. You'll see the green flashing bar cycle and then stop. If you need to leave the computer for a while, or you want to finish the transcription at a later time, make sure you Save Submit your work before closing out the program. When you log back in, the transcription you have already completed will be saved. When you're ready to transcribe the reading passage, look for the recording labeled Eval Read. Indicating errors for the reading passage is exactly the same. The only difference is you won't be recording spontaneous speech or grammar errors. When you're finished with the reading passage, make sure you save your work again by clicking on the Save Submit button at the top of the page and wait for the green flashing bar to cycle through. You'll recall that during the modeled reading section of the assessment, your client listened and repeated the phrases from the first paragraph of the reading passage. Now it's time to identify any of their errors from the modeled reading section. Go to the top of the screen and click on the link that says Continue. This will take you back to the main login screen. Enter your password. Your client's name should still be there. Now select Modeled for the session name and log in. Now you will see the first paragraph of the reading passage. The player is at the bottom. When you click on the words in the boxes, you will see your client's errors from time 1 in a lighter shade in the error sound box. Begin to listen to your client's recording labeled Eval Model. As the recording plays, you will hear pauses between your client's utterances. The pauses are when they were listening to the audio model. If you hear the same error in any given word, just click on that lightly shaded phoneme and it will darken. If you don't hear the error, just leave it alone. The program will know not to count it as a modeled reading error. If they made a different error, just click on the appropriate language-specific error choice, or click twice on the box itself to obtain the IPA symbols. When you finish transcribing, make sure you save your work. After the page cycles through, click on the comparison link to view the results of your client's modeled reading pronunciation ability. Direct your attention to the right half of the table at the top. You will see the number of errors your client made during their reading of the first paragraph during time 1. Next to that, you will see how many errors they made during the modeled reading section. It also shows the percent change, which will help you in forming a prognosis for improvement for your client. For example, this client made 30 errors during time 1, but only 11 errors during the modeled reading. This resulted in a 63% improvement. Underneath this table is a detailed description of what words contained errors, the phoneme classification, and session name. For example, this client produced a vowel error in the word first during time 1, but not in the modeled session. They produced an initial consonant error in the word Rockefeller during both time 1 and the modeled session. When you're finished viewing this page, click on the Continue link to log back in so that you can transcribe the time 1 conversational speech sample. The next step in this process is to transcribe any errors from your client's conversational speech sample. That's from section 4 of the assessment. Click to highlight the recording in the player labeled Eval Spontaneous. You will do all of your transcribing for this recording using the Target Phoneme Locator menu. This is the same menu you used when transcribing your client's spontaneous speech errors in the carrier sentences. This is accessed by clicking on any of the question mark symbols along the left margin. Let's say your client is talking about why he wants to improve his accent. In his sentence, "I like speak English better," he distorts the second vowel and the final consonant in the word English. Click on any question mark symbol. Locate the second vowel in the word English. Open the IPA symbols and select the error sound. Click on the spontaneous error count to increase the tally and type the context. After closing the window, open the menu again. Locate the final consonant in the word English. Frictions, SH, final position. In this example, your client has already made the same error in the context of another word. In this case, you need only increase the tally count to indicate he has done it again. Type in the context, close the window, and now you may want to document your client's grammar error by typing it in the grammar error text box. As you can see, this client has made several grammar errors. You just add this one to the list. When you are finished transcribing all of the errors from your client's conversational speech sample, or you need to step away from the computer for a while, you should save your work by clicking on the Save Submit button at the top of the page. Make sure you close any windows that you opened to record spontaneous speech errors before you click Save. Of course, you can save your work as often as you like. In fact, it's a good idea to click on the Save Submit button periodically just to be on the safe side, just as you would if you were creating an important document on your computer. Each time you save submit the page, it will cycle through with your saved transcription work. Now that you have completed all of the transcription for this client, it's time to assign a frequency of occurrence of errors. You'll refer to the transcription display screen and the pattern analysis for this purpose. Let's first take a look at each report. Keep in mind that these reports are for the trainer as part of the analysis process and not intended for the client to view. To view the transcription display screen, click on the transcription display link at the top of the page. This will take you to the login page. Enter your password and select Time 1. The transcription display screen shows all of the transcription, spontaneous speech error contexts, and grammar notes that you entered for this client. On this page, you will see the phonemes that your client mispronounced. They are categorized and displayed on the left margin of this screen. If your client did not make any errors for a specific tested phoneme, that phoneme will not appear in the left margin. The phoneme position and frequency in the 66 stimulus words are also displayed. For example, the consonant P was presented in the initial position 4 times and in the final position 2 times. If you hover your cursor over the position labels, a pop-up will appear displaying the words in which those target sounds were tested. For example, P in the final position was tested in the 29th word mop, and in the reading passage in the word up. On the Compton PESL, phonemes are tested in the initial and final positions for the 66 stimulus response words. However, in this online format, we have provided an opportunity to document the occurrence of errors in the middle position for the reading passage and spontaneous speech sections. You will now see all of your client's errors displayed in the error boxes for each tested phoneme. After the error sound boxes, you will see 4 columns. They are identified as word count, sentence count, reading count, and spontaneous count. They will contain numbers that were derived from the selections you made on the phonetic transcription screen. For example, this client produced an unaspirated P 2 times at the word level, 2 times at the sentence level, and 3 times at the reading level, twice at the spontaneous speech level. If you hover your cursor over the numbers in the first 3 columns, a pop-up will appear showing the exact context in which your client produced the error. The context of the spontaneous speech errors that you typed in on the phonetic transcription screen will also be displayed in this error context box. You will also find any grammar errors that you entered in the grammar error box near the top of the page. Now let's look at the pattern analysis. From the transcription display screen, click on the Pattern Analysis link. The pattern analysis is an organized summary of the phonetic data you recorded on the phonetic transcription screen. The pattern analysis displays all of the tested phonemes and the occurrence of those phonemes in the 66 stimulus words. Your client's errors are shown with corresponding colored tick marks indicating context and frequency. The red marks indicate stimulus words in isolation. The black marks represent stimulus words in context. Blue represents reading, and green represents spontaneous speech. For example, this client produced an unaspirated P 2 times at the word level, indicated by the 2 red tick marks, 2 times at the sentence level, indicated by the 2 black tick marks, 3 times at the reading level, as shown by the 3 blue tick marks, and twice at the spontaneous speech level, indicated by the 2 green tick marks. The only task left in completing your client's analysis is to attribute a general frequency to the occurrence of errors. These are terms that will appear on your client's personal speech analysis. Some trainers find it helpful to look at the pattern analysis side by side with the transcription display screen as they perform the final step to preparing their client's personal speech analysis. To view both screens, just right-click on the pattern analysis link at the top of the page and open it in a new window. Now reposition the screens by clicking and dragging to resize as necessary so you can view both screens at the same time. The gray rectangular box labeled Frequency on the transcription display screen allows you to select a general frequency of errors produced for that specific target phoneme. Remember, you can look at the pattern analysis to help you in this decision. When you are ready to select the frequency, just click on the gray rectangular box to the right of each error sound. Select Occasionally, 50%, Usually, or Always. Base your judgment regarding the selection of frequency on the recommendations provided at your Compton PESL training. If you make a mistake, you can always click on the box again to make another selection, or click on the word blank to completely clear the box. If an error has only occurred at the reading or spontaneous speech level, consider selecting Occasionally as the frequency, since the target sounds in these sections are not quantified. When you are finished selecting the frequencies, it is very important to click on the Save Submit button again to save these selections. After the page cycles through, your work is done. The only changes or additions you can make on the transcription display screen are in the grammar box, the error context box, and the frequency box. If you need to make a change to the error symbols or counts, you must do that back on the phonetic transcription screen. When making changes on the phonetic transcription screen, make sure you resubmit your work and then log in again, or refresh the transcription display screen to reflect your changes. If you had already assigned a frequency of occurrence prior to making changes to your transcription, you may need to fill in these boxes again because your changes may have impacted the error frequency for that target sound. Let's review what you've completed so far. You've transcribed all of your client's errors for the 66 stimulus response words and the reading passage. You've transcribed the errors from the modeled reading passage and viewed the % improvement on the results summary screen. You've transcribed all of your client's speech errors from the conversational speech sample. You've saved your work by clicking on the Save Submit buttons and waiting for the flashing green light to cycle through. You've selected a frequency of occurrence for all of your client's errors on the transcription display screen. Now it's time to review the final report and send it off to your client. At the top of either the phonetic transcription screen or the transcription display screen, click on the email link. You'll need to log in again and select Time 1 as the session name. Here you should see your name and email as well as the client's name and email. You can view their phonetic analysis by clicking on the standard link. Follow the instructions to email the report to your client. You may want to add a personal message in the text box. When your client has finished the Compton PESL course, you will want to reassess their phonological system to obtain an objective measure of improvement. Only the 66 stimulus response words and the reading passage are retested. The recording process is exactly the same. When your client is ready to make the reassessment recordings, you will need to create and then send a link to the recording pages again, just like you did for the initial Time 1 recordings. When transcribing your client's reevaluation recordings, you will be able to refer to the errors made on the initial evaluation, or Time 1, and simply select any errors that are still present. Let me show you how this works. To begin the transcription process of your client's Time 2 recordings, click on the Phonetic Transcription button on the main page of the website. Select your client's email address from the drop-down. Select or enter the primary language, Time 2, and submit. The player at the bottom of the phonetic transcription screen should contain all of your client's recordings. Use the scroll bar to locate the reevaluation recordings. They will be labeled Reeval 1 through 30, Reeval 31 through 66, and Reeval Read. Just click to highlight. As with the Time 1 recordings, you can use this player or download them and play them on the player of your choice. Here's an example of how to document Time 2 errors. Let's say your client produced an unaspirated P in the initial position of the word pig during the Time 1 recordings. On the Time 2 screen, you will see those symbols appear in the error box in a lighter shade. If you hear him make the same mistake, just click on it to darken. In the word glove, he mispronounced the final consonant during Time 1. But in Time 2, he pronounced the sound correctly, so you wouldn't do anything. In the word string, he mispronounced the final consonant in Time 1. In Time 2, he produced a different error sound, so you will need to click twice on the error sound box for the IPA symbols and choose the appropriate symbol. Remember, you will only need to transcribe the 66 stimulus response words and the reading passage in Time 2. Save and submit this page when you are finished. To view the percent improvement between Time 1 and Time 2, click on the comparison link at the top. Enter your password, select Time 2 for the session, and log in. The results summary screen displays the number of errors and words for Time 1 and Time 2 and a percent change. It also displays the number of errors in the reading passage for Time 1 and Time 2 and percent change. You may want to share this information with your client. Compton PESL Online will update your client's pattern analysis and personal speech analysis based on the Time 2 results. You'll want to assign a frequency of occurrence to any Time 2 errors on the transcription display screen, and then email your client a Time 2 phonetic analysis. We hope this tutorial has assisted you in the successful use of the Compton PESL Online Assessment Program. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Just click on the Contact Us button on the home page of the website. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy ComptonPESLOnline.com, where you can take your program online.